Hello and welcome back to lockdown and another day of walking through the fields doing my abstract photography lockdown challenge. And yeah, it's a lovely crisp frosty day again today, but it's now currently the afternoon, and despite that the temperatures are still very low and there's still a lot of frost and ice around. So I'm trying to find some nice frosty images. I'm trying to find some more puddles of water to get those nice cracked ice shots and see what I can create. Before we get started on today's photography, I'm currently walking through this field that's got a lot of fallen leaves on it that are covered in lovely frost. And I'm finding it really difficult to get shots of it, but it's reminded me that back in December I tried to film a video at another local spot where I was out for a walk around this pond, and I was photographing the lovely post-autumn leaves just littered around the path. So what I thought I'd do before I get into today's photography is show you that snippet of video that I filmed and never finished, and share that beautiful morning I had out with my camera. It's a bitterly cold day today. The temperatures aren't meant to get above zero the whole day, but I thought it was a really good opportunity to get out and do some abstract style photography. And frosty and icy conditions make for some great abstract photographs. So I'm on a walk just now in a local kind of woodland area beside a nice pond, and I'm on the lookout for some nice puddles, some nice frozen raindrops, and also just some nice crispy frosty grass, and I'm going to see what I can capture. You know, this past year has really revolutionised the way that I see nature and the world around me. As I'm sure many of you will remember, back in the first lockdown we had sort of March to June time, I spent a lot of time outdoors with my Nisi close-up filter and also an old school macro lens that one of my viewers very kindly sent me. And I spent a lot of time photographing flowers in my garden and bugs and insects on my daily walks, photographing things that I've never shot before. And now that we're into winter, I kind of thought that one thing I'd love to do this year is, you know, take close-up shots of the frost and the ice and the lovely water droplets. And what I think I'm finding so therapeutic today and with this whole new process is, right now I'm walking down this path, which is a very well-walked path, the kind of place that you would go with your dog in the morning or go out for a nice walk with your family in the afternoon. It's certainly not a place I would ever have considered going with my camera in the past, because, you know, it's just a basic woodland walk. Of course there's beauty in all woodlands, but it's not that nice ancient woodland or, you know, the really interesting wooded areas that you would normally kind of associate or maybe choose to go to do landscape photography. And I'm literally just walking down this path here, normal path, but it's lined with all these old dead leaves from the autumn, which have got a very light covering of frost on them. And what I'm doing just now is I'm basically just zooming in and trying to find some interesting leaves amongst all the chaos to focus on and pick out to photograph. And I have to say, I'm finding this process incredibly good from a mindfulness point of view. It's really allowing me to slow down, it's allowing me to switch off, and it's allowing me, most importantly, to see and photograph aspects of nature that I would never have considered seeing and photographing in the past. I hope you like those images there of all those lovely old autumnal dead leaves with the beautiful frost on them. It's now about 4 hours later. I kind of took a bit of a break and I didn't really vlog anything else or take any more photographs. But I've come now up to this lovely viewpoint, which is about a 10-minute drive from the pond and the woodland walk that I was at earlier. And as you can see, there's a very light dusting of snow up here. It's just beautiful. Now this spot isn't great for photography, but we basically came up here in the hope of finding some snow, and as you can see we've kind of found that. But what I'm finding today is, for me, it's all about the close-up photography. It's all about getting those detailed shots, and there's some really nice rain droplets on some of the trees here that are frozen, and they're reflecting these beautiful colours and dots on the tree. It just looks magical. And then we've got the sun setting behind me here as well, which is adding a lot of kind of nice light to the scene. And I now have, I don't know if I said that before, but I've now got my 24 to 200mm lens, so I'm using it to its advantage today to zoom into all these nice scenes, but I'm also using it just now to pick out some nice layers in the landscape from this viewpoint as well. It's so stunningly beautiful up here. Yeah, today it's all about experimentation. I'm even experimenting with vlogging. Just now I'm vlogging with my phone because I've left my other vlogging camera in the car. But yeah, it's all about experimentation today. So I hope you enjoyed that little recap of back in December when I was walking around that pond and some of the shots that I got of those leaves, because it's something very different to anything I've ever really shot before, and it was another, I think, stepping stone into opening my eyes up to things like abstract photography and the little parts of nature that we often walk by. And while I'm walking through this field, although I'm looking for puddles and ice specifically to get similar sort of abstract shots to what you will have seen in one of my other recent videos, I've come across this really nice hay beside me. It's like all these lines of hay that's got this lovely covering of frost on it. And although these images are probably quite messy in some ways, it's looking at those intricate details and how the lines of the hay on this nice stretch of kind of walkway here have been covered by the frost, and the little specks of frost and the shapes that have been created by it. It just adds a whole different dynamic to the world around you, and looking at this intricate detail, it's quite exciting and something that's well worth enjoying while we're stuck at home and very limited to where we can go. So yeah, I'll share those shots with you now, and hopefully it'll open your eyes up to maybe shooting something a little bit different and noticing things in nature that you'd often just trample through and walk by. As it's the afternoon today, as opposed to the morning where I shot my last ice photography abstract video, obviously a lot of the ice has melted quite a bit now, which I think I've already mentioned in this video. But there's still quite a bit of ice around, down here, and there's still quite a lot of shapes and interesting patterns within it. But it's quite interesting to see, actually, because on days like today you can literally be out all day photographing the ice, and from first thing in the morning right through to sunset, you can be getting totally different shapes and patterns and textures within the ice itself. And one thing I'm really liking today is, because the kind of main bulk of the ice has melted, we've got some really nice bubbles that have appeared under the ice, and there was not really any bubbles when I did my video the other week, so it's just something a little bit different and something that it was allowing me to get slightly more unique and different images to what I shot during my last abstract video, which I'm really liking. And I think it's quite incredible actually to kind of come out at different times of the day to see how the melting ice changes as the day progresses, and yeah, it opens up a lot of different and unique compositions and different and unique opportunities for this type of photography. So yeah, I'll share these interesting bubble shots with you now and just show you how different the ice is now compared to the morning when I shot my last video. The ice and the frost really does make everything so much more fascinating, and I've no idea what this was, but I've just been photographing this green stuff that was basically frozen on the ice, and it's probably something quite disgusting, but I don't know what it is. If any of you know what it is when you see it in a minute, do let me know. And there was these incredible bubbles just littering the top of it, which I couldn't really see that well with the naked eye, but by zooming into it with my camera and then zooming in further, you know, when I was viewing it, you could see these incredible bubbles and interest. Another thing that's really interesting today is because a lot of the ice has melted, you still have quite a thin layer of ice like just on the top surface of the water, which has given you enough sort of glaze over the water, but you then can see what's underneath it. And there's quite a lot of leaves and interesting kind of textures and patterns underneath the water, and because you've got that very thin like ice on top of the water, it's allowing a very sort of diffused type image and a very soft image, but it's adding a really nice interest to the leaves. So like when I'm shooting leaves outside the water, they're kind of very contrasted, very bold, but when you're shooting them underneath that very thin layer of ice, it just looks really interesting and it just creates something completely different. So yeah, I'll share those images with you now, and you can kind of compare them to the shots that you saw at the start of this video taken of the leaves outside of water, and just how kind of bold and contrasted they were, and then just to compare them with the leaves under the water and just how different that ice and that texture and then being under that thin layer of ice, just, you know, how different the feel of the photographs are. It's quite remarkable. I just thought I'd end this video by showing you all this lovely photograph that was taken by one of my viewers after watching my last video about abstract ice photography. Yeah, she lives only an hour from me, and she was kind of inspired to go out because of that video to photograph the ice on her doorstep, and she came away with this incredible shot here, and as she rightly says, it looks like a dove with an olive branch coming out of its beak, and I just think it's such a creative image, and you know, just to be able to see something in the ice like that is just, it's so awe-inspiring and beautiful. You know, it's very similar, I think, this type of photography to when we look up at the clouds and we see, you know, shapes and different patterns and objects within the clouds. It's great to get out in the winter months and be able to see that within ice too. It's yeah, it's a really imaginative and creative way to enjoy your photography. So if you've been inspired by these types of videos and you're in lockdown now yourself and you're lucky enough to have ice or you know, frost around you, you know, feel free to send me any of the images you do take, because I'd love to see them, you know, especially if you come away with something as beautiful as that dove image there. As always, I want to say a huge thank you for watching. I hope wherever you are in the world that you're safe just now and you're yeah, able to get through this tough time, and yeah, I'm sending you all the best wishes just now, and hopefully we'll all be able to get out and enjoy the photography that really speaks to our hearts again soon. I'll hopefully see you all again next time.